blacksmiths in ordinary forges using traditional skills. It's what we call a built-up gun because it is made of separate iron components fitted together by the blacksmiths to make a gun barrel and a separate breech chamber. Piece of metal, and they're much stronger and more powerful in their construction than these old iron guns. But the thing about those bronze ones, they were very expensive and it was much more difficult technology to make than these, which is why Henry still had more of these in his fleet than he did of the bronze guns, although he's getting more bronze guns all the time. The other big difference is this one, breech loading, loads at the back. Those fancy bronze ones, what we call muzzle loaders, loading down the end of the gun. So we're going to imagine that our wrought iron torque piece has already fired and that we're going to reload it. Now, if you stay and have a go, you're going to work in teams of 4, and I'm going to be your gun captain giving the orders. So each of the 4 are going to have a number. Number 1 here, 2, 3, and 4. So the number will be called out first, and then the order of what the action is. So the first thing to do with reloading this gun, we're going to imagine it's fired, and we're reloading it, is to take it apart. So numbers 2 and 3 are going to remove the wedge. So that comes out, we'll put it on the deck, out of the way at the back of the gun. We'll explain the purpose of the wedge later. Next, all 4 are going to remove what we call the breech chamber, or just the chamber for short. Now, Simon and I, we're going to lift it out by the wings. So that wasn't a good idea in real life, because when a gun fires, all the metal parts get really big, with a man either side holding onto the wooden bars. Right, so it would take 4 fit, strong young men to lift one of these out, because they were so heavy. And of course, you're on the moving deck of a ship, so it's not a stable platform. So there's lots of potential for things getting dropped and people getting injured. But we're just using a replica, so it's light enough for 2 of us. So 1, 2, 3, 4, remove the chamber. That comes to the back, and we stand it up with the open end upwards. Okay? Now, if this gun has fired before, the breech chamber is going to be full of sparks and pieces of burning wadding from the previous fire. So what very dangerous stuff do you think is going to go in there? Right? If the gun is fired and there are sparks in there, what dangerous stuff will go in there which will cause a disaster?
Fire.
No, there's already some bits of fire in there.
Gunpowder.
Gunpowder! What are going down there? Well, you can't put gunpowder in there with any sparks. So number 2 will be ordered to sponge the chamber. So number 2 is going to use these 2 pieces of equipment, right? A bucket of water, oh, look at that, a big fledge. Imaginary water in our case, and a sheepskin sponge on this handle, and number 2 will give the chamber a sponging out like this. Now, to make this more realistic, I want the sound effect. I want everyone to make a hissing noise while those sparks are being put up. Ready? Oh, I didn't hear everyone. That's better. Once we hear that hissing sound, we know we've extinguished all the sparks and we've made the gun safe to load. So next, we're going to load the ammunition. Number 4 will be ordered to place the shots. So Simon, if you put the shot straight in the barrel there, the wad, let me just show, I need a plug of material like this. It's made of old unravelled rope. Unravelled rope has a special name. It's called ochre. What's it called? Ochre. So we're going to use our open wad just to hold the shot in place in the barrel. Next, we need the stuff that makes the gun go bang, which we've left in the chest there. Can you get it up there? Yeah, okay. So this represents, I don't know why, but they won't let me use your gun. Okay, so this represents our powder charge. So number 2, place the charge. Now that's going to go in the chamber. That is all we are doing today. The rest of the space in there, with lots more of that open wadding, tamped down really hard to fill the space. And on a real chamber, there was a neck that went into the barrel. Now that neck, right, was closed with a wooden plug called a tampon. They hammered into the neck to seal it all. Right, so let's just recap. We've taken the gun apart, we've sponged the chamber to make it safe to load, we've loaded the ammunition, now it's time to put the gun back together again. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, place the chamber. So come out, and whatever number you had before, you get the same ring. So 2 and 3 get the bottom rings, 1 and 4 get the top rings. Place it into the gun carriage. This kind of gun carriage is called a sledge. Next is 2 and 3 place the wedge. So that comes in here, yeah, mind your fingers as you put this in. Now the whole point of the wedge is to hold everything together when the gun goes off. Just using a wooden wedge in real life wasn't enough. So what they would do would be to have 2 round iron wedges that would be hammered in with a big heavy sledgehammer behind this to hold it all together as tightly as possible. So now, having put the gun back together, we've taken the gun apart, sponged the chamber, loaded the ammunition, put the gun back together again, we're ready to fire, aren't we? Yeah. Aren't we? Yeah! Is that man at the back who said no? Right, okay. Before we can fire, we have to prepare it for firing by priming. So number 1 is going to prime the gun. For that we use these 2 pieces of equipment. We use a priming wire, also known as a reamer, and a powder pump containing fine priming powder. Now, back of the chamber there is a hole known as the touch hole, also known as the vent. That can get blocked up when the gun's fired before. So we take the priming wire, put it down the hole, give it a good jiggle about to clear the blockage, and prick the bag of gunpowder inside. That will spill some from the bag of powder in there and make it easier for the explosion to happen. Then take the powder hole and pour in a measure of powder to fill up the touch hole. Now that will have the effect of creating a fuse that will burn down to the bag of powder inside when we apply a spark. We are ready to fire now, except for one important point. When a gun goes off, does it want to stay still or do something else? Yeah, it wants to jerk backwards. That's what we call the recoil of the gun, right? So it's important that the crew are out of the way. So the gun captain calls out the instruction, gun crew have a care. When you hear have a care, the gun crew needs to be clear of the gun, bend your knees to absorb the strong vibration that goes through the deck because of the recoiling guns around you, protect your ears, and then the final order from the gun captain is the firing order, the words give fire. When the gun captain says give fire, he uses this tool known as a linstock. That's the carved wooden rod. The ones on the Mary Rose are quite often elaborately carved at the end with things like dragons' heads and clenched fists. My one is like a ravening dog with sharp teeth, holding this cord known as slow match, which will be burning and sparking at the end. Can you see how the linstock doubles the length of my arm? So I can reach out for the same distance. So, having said, gun crew have a care, I reach out and I say, get fire! Okay, so when the gun goes off, just want you to use your imagination at the moment about what it would be like on the gun. You're in a dark, confined space with the deckhead about that high above you, crowded with other guns either side, and their gun crews. When the gun goes off, in this dark space, your eyes will be dazzled by a sudden flash of flame. Dropped it. Okay. Sudden flash of flame. The air will be full of smoke, acrid smoke, stinking of rotten eggs from burning sulphur and gunpowder. That will dry out your mouth and leave a bitter taste. Your whole body will be shaken by the vibrations of the guns going off, and the ears will be deafened by the noise. So, being on a gun deck in Portsmouth with the guns going off, pretty unpleasant place to be. But it's not quite so bad as that this time today, is it? Here. So, hands up if you want to volunteer to be members of the gun. Have a go. If you do, anyone down here? Good. Right. Anyone who wants to go, come down into this space.